So the story begins at the castle, with a lot of people enjoying their lives and talking to their friends. But one day, when things were peaceful, a group of dragons attacked humans, and so the war began. The war went on for 13 long years. Humans were helpless against the strong dragons, and humanity quickly began to die out. However, the protagonist continued fighting dragons without giving up. He slew them again and again. The name of the hero is Arden, the eldest son of the renowned swordsman family, Duke Arben's family. This handsome man is the Western continent's best talent, and he is also known for being a dragon slayer. He is the Haidern Empire's last hero. This heroic man is now fighting against a huge dragon, but his situation is critical. His mouth is full of blood, and he can't do anything because in front of him is none other than the Dragon King, Drakisif. The dragon throws the hero man and makes a huge impact on the hero man's body. Suddenly, in his near-death moment, he sees someone with the name Then, and he thinks about his father's last words, realizing he couldn't keep his father's promise. He also recalls his sister's funeral, where he vowed to drive the dragons out of the continent. The hero man reflects that he is not the most talented individual on the continent, nor does he hold the title of Dragon Slayer. He feels sorry for Terran and Myers, lamenting the waste of their sacrifices. Suddenly, a loud voice calls his name, and he is a bit confused about it. But then a new character, a woman with pink hair, shouts loudly, calling the main character Ethan. That's the reason why Ethan opens his eyes. He is a bit confused because this pink-haired woman is Ethan's sister. The sister is happy because her brother is awake, but Ethan is confused about the situation, wondering how his sister is alive. He remembers that his sister died from a dragon ambush. Now he blames himself for not being able to protect anything. However, when he observes his sister's dress, he realizes it is totally different, and he wonders why his sister never shared more about her past life. Ethan talks to his sister, asking about the afterlife and whether everything is okay. His sister speaks, calling Ethan's name and reassuring him not to sacrifice himself anymore. She insists that none of it was his fault, admitting that she was just being stupid, and urges him not to engage in such dangerous acts again. However, Ethan is a bit confused and asks his sister what she's talking about. She brushes it off lightly, standing up and mentioning that she will make soup for Ethan. Ethan is surprised because his sister never learned how to cook. He wonders if her changes go beyond her appearance, affecting her personality as well. As Ethan prepares to get up from the bed, he notices something in his hand and wonders if it's the spring of life. It turns out to be a magical equipment used for people in comas. He is confused about why this equipment is on his body. Did he pass out for a while in the afterlife or something? When he examines his body, he realizes it's very weak, barely able to feel any mana. He questions whether he experienced a mana rush or something, finding it unexpected that even the afterlife has mana rushes. Now, he uses the wire attached to his body as a conduit for mana to flow into him. The equipment's effects are enough to straighten his curved back, and his previously skinny face and body now become rejuvenated and fresh. Now, his sister enters with soup, but she spots her brother standing up. Shocked, she asks why he took off the magical equipment, questioning if he's aware of his current body condition. Confused, Ethan's sister grows worried, but as she observes the change in her brother's body, she becomes speechless. Ethan explains that his body is mostly healed and able to move. His sister is surprised because the doctor mentioned that he needed more than half a year of physical therapy to move after waking up. Ethan asks how long he was passed out for, and to his shock, he learns it was 10 years, a decade-long coma. His sister pushes him back to bed, insisting that he shouldn't push himself just after waking up. They talk, and Ethan asks about life in the afterlife, requesting some stories. Suddenly, his sister shouts and cries, questioning why Ethan keeps saying afterlife. She emphatically states that no one died and clarifies that this isn't the afterlife. The third and youngest siblings are alive and well, just like her and Ethan. Ethan is left speechless, realizing he's not dead, contradicting his memory of being pierced through the chest by the Dragon King and dying. Ethan then asks his sister about her current age, and she answers 20. Ethan, puzzled, asks about his age, and she mentions 19. This revelation shocks him because when he was 19, the first dragon invasion occurred. He inquires about the situation of the war and his father, but his sister, confused, informs him that it happened 15 years ago. His father died then, and their family sacrificed a lot, leading to the formation of a non-aggression pact with the monsters. Ethan is bewildered by the news of a non-aggression pact with dragons, something he doesn't remember happening. His sister confirms it, and Ethan starts feeling that something is amiss. He wonders if she regressed to the past, but this world is different from the one he knows. If it's not the afterlife, as she claims, then perhaps he has regressed 13 years into the past, into a different world entirely. Now, he asks about their servants, but his sister mentions that they don't have any. So, he asks why, and she replies that they don't have the money. Now, he suggests selling the family treasures, but she explains that this is their house, and they don't have any expensive items left. The situation is different from the past he knows. Frustrated, he wants to confirm if she's lying, but she insists she's not. Their family is ruined. He's enraged, it's a very ruined family. In this amazing and awesome castle is one of the 7 nations on the western continent, the Haiden Empire. It is the smallest nation out of the 7, but Duke Arden's family was one of the most renowned swordsman families on the continent. That's why the Arden family had never lived in such a shabby home, even when humankind was on the brink of extinction due to the dragon attacks, like this old log cabin in the present time. Now, he's shocked because they've been living in this place for over 10 years. This is different from the past that I remember. I thought I died from the battle with the dragons. But when I awoke, I had returned to my younger self, and our family is in complete shambles. What the hell happened? Now, he mentions that he thought our family had sacrificed a lot during the battle 15 years ago. Then shouldn't the king have rewarded us with something? With that, she calmly mentions that we received the prize for our sacrifice. So, he asks what we did. He also mentions that just what did we receive that we have to live like this. Suddenly, his sister mentions immunity. His Majesty, the 17th in this line, King Siegmund, has claimed our family as the protectors of the kingdom, and we will be treated as such. Now, he's thinking Siegmund, even the king is different from my previous life. So Ethan asks for more information, and his sister mentions that His Majesty has granted you, the most suitable heir to the family, immunity for any crime aside from treason. She also mentions that the immunity will last for 3 generations, including yours. Ethan is thinking that the authority to be forgiven for any crime aside from treason. In the extreme scenario, does it mean I will be forgiven even if I were to commit manslaughter? This is an incredible authority. He asks if that's all. Now, she mentions that they were rewarded with a lot of gold and jewels as well, though the family is keeping it for safety. So, he asks about the family. I thought this was the family home. Didn't you say this was our family home now? She mentions that's not it. Our family was cast aside here, to the hunting lodge, 10 years ago because of the Senate, the current temporary rulers of the Arden family. But he didn't know the Senate, so he asks his sister, who are these bastards who dare rule over our family? She mentions that the Senate is composed of 10 collateral descendants of our family. After the battle with the dragons, when grandfather and father passed away, the king ordered the Senate to temporarily rule over our family. King Siegmund must have been worried that you would abuse the immunity and the authority as the patriarch of the family at such a young age. Now, he seems mad that the king was an imbecile in my previous life, but this King Siegmund seems to be even worse. Did they not think that the Senate would claim authority and persecute us at all? Ethan asks about the role of the patriarch. She replies that they will decide on the patriarch the day you turn 20. He asks, it's not confirmed that I will be the patriarch? She mentions that was the original plan, but the Senate objected to it while you were bedridden. While eating the soup, he's thinking that obviously from their perspective, it would be quite troublesome if I became the patriarch. If I were to become the patriarch, I would purge every last one of the members of the Senate who have made my sibling and me suffer this way. With a mad expression, he thinks, I'll turn 20 in about 8 months. Suddenly, tears drop from Ethan's sister's eyes as she apologizes. If she had taken care of things better, things wouldn't be so bad. She wouldn't have collapsed from her mana rush. Now Ethan remembers in 10 years ago, when he was around 9 years old, he had spent a great amount of effort in order to recover the family vision skill, which had died along with our ancestors. But when he was in the midst of recovering the family vision skill, he collapsed due to mana rush, and his siblings, who were merely descendants of the family without authority, had no way of stopping the collateral family tyranny. At that time, his sister was only 10 years old. Now he asks his sister to save her tears, so Ethan asks about the how of this being her fault. She mentions that she should have maintained the family somehow. But Ethan denies that and states that he's more at fault for letting his sister protect the family in such a situation. His sister mentions that Ethan should raise his head. With the happy, bright, and pure soul of his sister, she states that everything is fine with her as long as he's healthy. With that, Ethan finishes his food and expresses his gratitude for the meal, praising his sister for being good at cooking. She's happy to hear that. Their conversation is done, and they head to rest and sleep. Now, Ethan is left to his room, thinking that everything is a mess. It's nice that he was able to return to this world to see his sister again, but the king, who put the Senate in place to cut off Ethan's family limbs, or the collateral family members who took advantage of the situation and cast Ethan's family aside, nowhere while growing their authority. Ethan doesn't know the reason why he returned to this place after dying once, but for Ethan, it's clear what he has to do going forward. He needs to recover his strength within the next 8 months. He will return everything to its rightful place, and Ethan is going to teach the people a lesson on who Duke Arden's family is. So, he's just thinking that the collateral bastards need to wait for their final day. As morning arrived, painting the sky with a lovely sunrise, and the aroma of a delightful soup filled the air, Pink's sister ventured out of her room with the intention of waking Ethan for breakfast. However, outside, a trio engaged in a seemingly cheerful conversation, contrasting with the distinct expression on Pink's sister's face. Undeterred, she approached a man with grey hair, addressed as Grand Chamberlain, and requested him to vacate the premises promptly. The man, steadfast in his commitment, explained that their duty mandated their continued presence. He asserted his affiliation with Baron Karga's family, emphasizing that he belonged to the Baron, not the Duke. The Baron, he added, had issued strict orders for them to remain in the lodging. Apologizing ungraciously, he concluded his statement. Pink's sister, left with no alternative, reluctantly retreated, met with ungrateful smiles and laughter from behind. Subsequently, she reached Ethan's room and gently knocked, inquiring if he was already awake. Ethan and his sister is in ground stare, and Ethan saw 3 people having a conversation. So inside of the room Ethan asked his sister that Ethan though they didn't have any servant. So Pink's sister mentioned they didn't hire them, they were sponsored by a few other families. So with a mad expression Ethan mentioned that they're here to support us, yet they sit still and chat all day. If they're not going to be useful, we might as well tell them to leave. But the Pink sister mentioned that even if she try, other people get sent and it's not like they leave because I tell them to. With that Ethan stand up and asking his sister to ear first, so the Pink sister asking about him. And with a smile he mentioned that he going to go have a few words with those buddies over there. Now in another room. A man Ela is sitting in the sofa and happy that he was wondering why Pink's sister was asking for such a favor, but it's because the Archduke had awakened. With a satisfied expression that he sure have the sweetest job. The hunting cabin, everyone who knows is aware that this is a place of exile. But the more this grey man stay here, the better this place seems, because he was sent by a collateral family, The Archduchess can't treat me however she wants. With a happy smile he thinking that his job is to chat all day and rest and he still get paid his monthly salary on regular basis. How in the world could there be such a sweet job? And the Archduke that had been in a coma for then year has finally awakened. With this kind for information, he happy because of this kind of information he could be rewarded pretty handsomely. He summoned someone to prepare a letter, but in an unexpected turn, a voice called out behind him. Swiftly turning, he found himself met with a sudden punch to the face, sending him crashing into the room's wall. Fear and trembling overcame him as he realized the assailant was none other than Ethan, the Archduke, glaring at him with a fierce and resolute expression. As he strides purposefully towards the grey man, Ethan's hands reach out, effortlessly lifting the defiant figure off the ground. The grey man, clinging to his dwindling semblance of nobility, asserts that even though Ethan holds the esteemed title of Archduke, he won't be subservient. Ethan, undeterred, locks eyes with the grey man, repeating his words with a chilling intensity. The grey man, now acutely aware of the unsettling gaze fixed upon him, maintains his assertion that Ethan, despite his aristocratic status, lacks the authority to subject him to such treatment. In a desperate attempt to shield himself, he invokes the influential name of the Baron Karga's family, emphasizing their steadfast support and presence. Ethan, however, responds with a malicious smile, seemingly unfazed by the mention of the powerful Baron's family. His demeanor takes a darker turn as he delivers a swift and resonant series of slaps to the grey man's face. The onlookers, a mix of maids and stewards, observe this unnerving display with a palpable sense of fear settling over them. As Ethan confronted the grey man, he refrained from directly asking if the Duke Arden family was being mocked. Instead, he observed the grey man trembling as he questioned the Archduke about the reasons behind his actions. Ethan noted that the grey man appeared genuinely unaware of the answer, and this realization left him in shock, bracing for another impending slap from Ethan. In a sudden turn of events, the grey man recollected the dire situation of the Grand Duchess and urgently commanded the maid and steward to rush to her aid. Without hesitation, the maid agreed, and they swiftly departed to assist the distressed noblewoman. With the grey man now beneath him on the ground, Ethan, sporting an intimidating gaze, sternly instructed him to choose the path of righteousness moving forward. The grey man, bowing in submission, assured Ethan that he would indeed strive to do better. As Ethan exited the room, the grey man observed him closely, noting the sheer power exhibited by Ethan's hands despite his seemingly frail physique. It became apparent to the grey man that Manhwa was involved. Filled with a mixture of awe and urgency, the grey man, now wearing a mad expression, realized he needed to relay this crucial information to Baron Karga's family as swiftly as possible. In the quiet confines of another room, Ethan reflects upon the undeniable truth that his physical prowess has diminished significantly. Had he not employed the meticulously prepared Manhwa at his disposal, the ordeal he faced would have culminated in utter humiliation. Presently, his trembling hand bears witness to the toll exacted by this exhausting encounter, while he contemplates the audacity of those who dared to cross the Arden family, the esteemed Senate. Fueled by a newfound resolve, Ethan harbors a desire to sever the threads of joy woven into the lives of the Senate members, thereby asserting his rightful claim as the true sovereign of the dukedom. Seating himself, Ethan acknowledges the imperative to assess the condition of his body. Engaging in a profound session of meditation, Ethan directs his focus inward, peering into the intricate tapestry of his being. The Manhwa rush has intricately dispersed throughout his limbs, arms, legs, wrists, angles, a symphony of energy echoing within. Astonishingly, this dispersion, rather than proving detrimental, appears to hold potential benefits. While the average knight might have succumbed to such a fate, Ethan, the paragon of the continent's prowess, stands resilient. Despite a decade of bodily inactivity, Ethan's physique remains commendable, albeit marred by weakened mana-carrying veins. Undeterred, Ethan undertakes a meticulous process of restoration, commencing with the resonance. Resonance, a sublime choreography of vibrations, seeks to navigate the mana whole, locating the meticulously prepared mana wavelength. Drawing mana into the hole, this intricate process serves as the key to conquering the mana void. Ethan initiates this intricate dance of energies, beginning with the wrist that firmly clutches the blade. The day gracefully yields to morning, marking the culmination of Ethan's exhaustive morning session devoted to stimulating his mana hole. Now, the focus pivots towards stamina training, recognizing the pivotal role of foundational endurance before venturing into more advanced techniques. With resolute determination, Ethan kicks off his regimen, seamlessly executing a series of 100 push-ups and sprinting 100 meters through the verdant expanse of the jungle. As the morning evolves into dawn, the steward and maid witness Ethan's arduous training with a blend of admiration and concern, marveling at the tenacity exhibited by his lithe physique in the face of demanding exercises. Amidst this intense session, a resonant voice pierces the tranquility, calling out Grand Duchess. Intrigued, Ethan engages the young boy wielding a stick spear, seeking insights into his identity. The boy, in turn, reveals that young Master Myers is causing a disturbance at a nearby bar, a situation that could potentially escalate into a significant issue if left unattended. Eager for information, the boy, unfamiliar with Ethan, initiates a reciprocal inquiry. Reflecting on Myers' unexpected behavior, Ethan reminisces about instances when his larger-than-life brother, committed to physical well-being, opted for milk over alcoholic drinks to safeguard his muscles. The image of Myers, meticulously adhering to a disciplined training schedule, contrasts sharply with the current scenario of him causing a ruckus at a local bar. With unwavering resolve, Ethan instructs the Grey Man to accompany him in locating Myers, receiving guidance to the Golden Public. The Grey Man, attuned to local dynamics, also notes recent affiliations between the youngest Duke and some local thugs, pointing towards the likelihood of Myers being present at the pub today. Inside the bar, a wonderful entrance unfolds as a wooden chair sails through the air. A massive man, fueled by anger and a desire for more alcohol, commands attention. Observing this, Ethan is taken aback by the volatile situation his big brother finds himself in. Suddenly, amidst the chaos, Ethan hears a group of men chatting and laughing, seemingly reveling in the unfolding spectacle. Enraged, Ethan strides forward towards the two men, delivering a forceful blow to the table with a single punch, his expression a mix of frustration and anger.